the complicated history of the Shaughnessy family that surprised the world. Today, we delve into another unsettling case. If you find this content compelling, please support the channel by subscribing and hitting the notification bell. It's a harsh reality that the shadow side of benevolence can lead to dire outcomes, yet people persist in their altruism without expecting anything in return. In our tale, a heartfelt deed from years past not only drastically altered the lives of its characters, but also culminated in a tragic death at 4:45 a.m. on March 2nd, 2018. In the quiet of early morning in Travis County, Texas, police were alerted by a frantic call from a woman pleading for help. She was concealed in a closet, having heard multiple gunshots within her home, fearing the assailant was still nearby. The dispatcher instructed her to remain hidden until help arrived. Soon, the residence was secured by police, revealing the woman in hiding as local resident Corey Shaughnessy. Corey was overwhelmed and terrified, unable to grasp the night's events. In a grim scene in the kitchen, her husband, Theodore Shaughnessy, was found deceased, lying near the dining table in a pool of blood. Join me as we unpack the layers of this heart-wrenching story. Born on February 7, 1963, Theodore was the youngest of the Shaughnessy family in Arizona, near Phoenix. From a young age, Theodore, or Ted, as he was fondly known, had a passion for fast cars and the thrill they brought. His teenage years were filled with dreams of sports cars, embodying a fearless spirit that thrived on adrenaline to savor life's zest. Despite his adventurous streak, Ted was known for his kindness, jovial nature, and being a reliable friend and son. At 20, Ted's path crossed with Corey Garman at a local arcade. Their shared interest in jewelry and literature sparked an instant connection. This mutual attraction soon blossomed into deep affection, leading to their marriage in 1989. The newlyweds then moved to Austin, Texas, where they established their roots and embarked on a venture together, opening Gallery Jewelers, a venture that flourished under their care. Corey's deep fascination with gemstones and fine art found her the role of an appraiser within their family business, while Ted became the charismatic frontman of their store. His innate ability to connect with people didn't just draw customers, it energized them. Ted was naturally sociable and lively, often becoming the life of any gathering. This trait proved invaluable in business as he easily negotiated favorable deals with clients and partners. Thanks to their combined efforts, their business flourished, amassing a family fortune estimated at $8 million. Yet despite his wealth, Theodore remained generous and compassionate, frequently donating to charities and providing meals for the less fortunate. Their success also allowed them to purchase a luxurious new home close to their store, making them a powerhouse couple that complemented each other perfectly. However, there was one piece missing in their lives. They had no children. As their jewelry empire expanded, so did their desire to grow their family. In a transformative decision in 2000, they adopted a 16-month-old boy from an orphanage in Ukraine. This addition was a burst of instant and profound love. They named their gray-eyed son Nicholas, completing their family and filling their home with joy. Nicholas thrived under their care, growing into an energetic and well-behaved boy who shared his father's love for animals and cars. Like Ted, he often accompanied his father to the racetrack, where they enjoyed karting and sports car rides together. Their bond was evident in their frequent park strolls and shared hobbies. During high school, Nicholas's interest shifted to car dismantling, prompting him to start a small business in this field with financial backing from his parents. He invested in the necessary equipment and rallied a group of friends to help. Around this same time, Nicholas met Jackie Edison. Their immediate connection was strong, but when Jackie met Nicholas's parents, they were not as enthusiastic about her. Corey was initially skeptical about Jackie being a suitable match for Nicholas, but despite her reservations, she didn't interfere with their relationship to maintain a connection with her son. Over time, Jackie managed to win over the Shaughnessy's, and she eventually started spending so much time at their home that they allowed her to move in. By August 2017, Nick and Jackie decided to strike out on their own, moving to College Station where Jackie attended school, and Nick pursued a career as a day trader, still financially supported by his parents. Nick remained deeply attached to his family, making the 2-hour drive back to Austin every weekend to visit. Life seemed smooth for Nick, with no apparent signs of the impending chaos. On March 2, 2018, at about 4:30 a.m., the tranquility of the Shaughnessy household was shattered by their dog's relentless barking. This wasn't unusual, as the dogs often reacted to small critters on the property. Corey, thinking little of it, expected the dogs to settle down shortly. However, Ted sensed something amiss and decided to investigate, arming himself with his .40 caliber pistol. As Corey lay back down, hoping for a quick return to sleep, her peace was abruptly broken by a gunshot from the kitchen, quickly followed by several more. Panicked, Corey grabbed her revolver from beside the bed and rushed to aid her husband. Her heart sank when she discovered their beloved dog, Bart, shot dead in the hallway. At that moment, a menacing silhouette appeared in the doorway. In a state of sheer terror, Corey fired all 6 rounds from her revolver toward the intruder, then raced to hide in a closet, fearing for her life. From her hiding spot, Corey managed to call the police, breathlessly reporting a break-in and that she had fired at one of the intruders. She whispered into the phone, hearing moans from somewhere within the house, indicating someone was injured, but she was unsure who it was. Her voice trembled as she told the dispatcher about the moaning sounds, her fear palpable even through the phone. The dispatcher advised Corey to remain in her hiding place until the police arrived, assuring her that help was on its way. About 15 minutes later, Corey was informed that the police had reached her street, though the ominous moans had ceased, leaving a deathly quiet throughout the house. Braving her fears, Corey emerged from the closet and made her way toward the front door. Passing the kitchen, she was confronted by the harrowing sight of her husband Theodore, lying motionless in a pool of blood, surrounded by scattered shell casings, showing no signs of life. When she opened the front door, expecting to find the police, there was nobody there. Due to the complex layout of their street, the officers had mistakenly gone to her neighbor's house. They were trying to determine where the shots had originated. Eventually, they corrected their error and rushed to the Shaughnessy residence, where they found a distraught Corey waiting for them, her life shattered by the night's events. Inside, the officers attempted to console Corey as she phoned her son to explain the tragic attack. Soon after, Jackie and Nick hurried back to Austin, arriving at Corey's home by 8 a.m. Theodore Shaughnessy, age 55, was confirmed deceased, having sustained multiple gunshot wounds to his head, back, and thigh. The shocking violence left family, friends, and acquaintances in disbelief, unable to fathom that someone so well-liked could be targeted so brutally in his own home. In the aftermath, Nick and Jackie remained with Corey to support her and assist with the ongoing investigation. Crime scene analysis revealed the presence of 2 types of shell casings, .40 and .38 calibers, suggesting that 2 different firearms were used in the attack. Interestingly, there were no signs of forced entry anywhere in the home, except for an open window in a distant bedroom where the safety netting had been removed, pointing to a possible entry point for the intruders. At the crime scene, the forensic team made a significant discovery: a lone fingerprint. This crucial piece of evidence was swiftly sent to the laboratory for analysis. Meanwhile, the police canvassed the neighborhood, inquiring if anyone had noticed unusual activities around the Shaughnessy residence. One neighbor mentioned that the family's home had been previously targeted, likely due to their ownership of a jewelry store chain. As part of the initial evidence collection, the police took Corey's pajamas and swabbed her hands for gunshot residue. Corey had been upfront about using her firearm during the incident. The investigation quickly veered away from a burglary scenario, as there was no evidence of forced entry or missing valuables, pointing the investigators towards a murder investigation. The house was meticulously checked. All doors were found locked except for the door to Nicholas Shaughnessy's room, which was ajar. Further inspection revealed a missing firearm, a .40 caliber pistol from Nicholas's dresser. This was particularly alarming as it matched the caliber used in Theodore's murder, leading detectives to suspect that this missing weapon was involved in the crime. Nick, Jackie, and Corey cooperated fully with the investigation, consenting to phone searches and interviews at the police station. Despite Nick claiming he hadn't visited Austin for a month, all 3 provided access to their devices and participated in questioning to help piece together the events leading to the tragedy. Investigators were left to consider whether this was a random act of violence, a botched robbery, or a calculated attack. The absence of unidentified fingerprints further complicated the narrative, leading to suspicions about Corey's potential involvement, given that she was the sole survivor. It was peculiar to the police why the assailants would spare Corey and why they lingered in the house for 17 minutes before the shooting without taking anything. These unsettling details painted a complex picture of the crime that the police were determined to decipher. Assistant Prosecutor Amy Meredith, closely involved in the case, believed that Theodore Shaughnessy recognized his attacker, suggesting a personal connection rather than a random burglary. The complex layout and darkness of the house also led her to doubt that it was the work of random burglars or jewelry thieves, as they seemed too familiar with the premises. Suspicion increasingly fell on Corey Shaughnessy, driven by the discovery that she was the beneficiary of Ted's $1 million life insurance policy. Despite the substantial value of their home and business, no concrete evidence directly implicated Corey. However, Nicholas Shaughnessy, their son, located over 100 miles away at the time of the murder, also became a person of interest. On the morning following the tragedy, Nicholas appeared visibly agitated. A particular action raised eyebrows. Without being prompted, he walked directly to a conspicuously open side window on the first floor, the window to his own room, which was the confirmed entry point for the criminals. This behavior was suspicious since he had not been informed by investigators that this was the entry used by the assailants. Further investigation into Nicholas's finances revealed long-standing struggles. He had borrowed $30,000 from his mother to support his business, and she had recently reminded him about repaying the loan. Additionally, he owed $20,600 to a neighbor. These financial pressures suggested a possible motive for involvement in the crime. The case took a significant turn when it was discovered that Nicholas stood to gain a $2 million insurance payout if his parents passed away. This revelation placed him under intense scrutiny and positioned him as a key suspect. Investigators also found that Nicholas had access to the family's home alarm system through an app on his phone. Corey mentioned that the family often chose not to arm the system, and it was indeed disabled on the night of the murder. This piece of information further implicated Nicholas, suggesting he might have facilitated entry into the house without triggering any alarms. Detectives discovered discrepancies in the account of the home's alarm system usage. Corey had stated that the alarm was only activated when the house was unoccupied. However, system logs indicated an activation to open a window at 4:27 a.m. on the day of the crime, followed about 17 minutes later by an alert signaling broken glass. This timeline contradicted Corey's initial statement and added a layer of complexity to the investigation. A startling find during the home search was Nicholas and Jackie's marriage certificate, revealing they had secretly wed back in August 2017, a detail they only disclosed after the murder. The deeper the police dug into Nicholas and Jackie's activities, the more incriminating evidence surfaced, suggesting a premeditated plan to kill Nicholas's parents. Although Nicholas claimed to have been over 100 miles away from Austin at the crime's time, cell phone records contradicted his assertion that he hadn't been in Austin for a month. Notably, his phone activity was logged in Austin on February 28th, merely 2 days before Theodore was killed, raising suspicions that he might have been in town to make final arrangements for the crime. Further scrutiny of Nicholas and Jackie's phones revealed deleted text messages, which had been backed up to Nicholas's computer. A significant text from February 24th from Nicholas to Jackie stated, "I'm working on it," with Jackie replying, "Do they want $50K or not? We can't afford to pay half that early." During a search of Nicholas and Jackie's apartment, investigators were taken aback by the number of cameras installed, which verified their presence at home on the morning of the murder. However, inside a safe, they found jewelry, ammunition, and guns. Notably, one ammunition box matched the make and caliber of one of the murder weapons, a .38 caliber pistol, which was missing 6 bullets. In additional discovered texts, Nicholas instructed Jackie to withdraw money, hinting at urgency with the phrase, "cash in hand." Jackie had indeed withdrawn $1,000 from the bank just days before the crime, which authorities suspected was not coincidental. The investigation deepened as authorities reached out to Spencer Patterson, the man who officiated Nick and Jackie's wedding and a friend from Nicholas's high school. Reaching Spencer Patterson proved challenging, but once contacted, he provided critical insights that added to the case against Nicholas. Although the fingerprint found on the window in Nicholas's bedroom initially led nowhere, it belonged to the installer, police discovered that Nicholas had historically used this window to sneak in and out of the house. Spencer, his best friend, confirmed this and also knew where Ted and Corey kept their safe, further implicating Nicholas's intimate knowledge of the house. During their investigation, police searched Spencer's home, car, and phone. They found a .38 caliber handgun in his car, which was sent to forensics but was ultimately not identified as one of the murder weapons. Spencer's phone records confirmed his alibi, as he was at home on the morning of the crime. Although he was ruled out as a suspect, Spencer's interview contributed significantly to the suspicions surrounding Nicholas. He disclosed that Nicholas had mentioned potentially inheriting $8 million upon his parents' demise and had even attempted to hire Spencer to murder his family, indicating a premeditated plan. The incriminating evidence mounted when messages between Spencer and Nicholas revealed Nicholas's brazen instructions. Steal all their stuff. No need for the mask because they will all die. Based on this damning correspondence, on May 29, 2018, Nicholas Shaughnessy and Jackie Edison were arrested for criminal solicitation of murder. Corey Shaughnessy was devastated by these developments. Convinced of her son's innocence, she believed the authorities were framing him. Nicholas had taken over his father's position at the jewelry store, and Corey was adamant that there had been a grave mistake. She demanded absolute proof of Nicholas and Jackie's involvement in the crime. Despite the overwhelming evidence, Jackie was released on bail 2 weeks post-arrest, and Corey secured a top-notch lawyer for her son. In an emotional interview, Corey expressed her disbelief, comparing the likelihood of her son plotting murder to an alien landing. You could have told me that aliens landed in the front yard, and I would have believed that rather than believe that Nicholas and Jackie were planning to kill us. She speculated that perhaps Nicholas's troubles in College Station, whether debts or illegal activities, might have led to the tragedy, but she staunchly refused to accept that her son could orchestrate such a heinous act against his own family. The police were convinced that Nicholas and Jackie orchestrated the attack on Ted Shaughnessy, yet the actual shooter remained unidentified, stalling the investigation. Months passed with no breakthroughs until Detective James Moore revisited surveillance footage from Nick and Jackie's porch, captured 2 days prior to the murder. This decision would pivot the direction of the case. For Corey, who had fiercely defended her son, the new evidence from the surveillance video was a devastating blow. The footage revealed Nicholas meeting 2 men at his front door, signaling a deeper involvement in the plot than Corey had ever imagined. This revelation forced her to confront the painful reality that she had been defending the planners of her and her husband's intended murder. The key piece of footage showed one of the men wearing a green t-shirt labeled Anderson. This clue led detectives to the Anderson Window Company in search of this individual, identified as Cameron Vosmek. While Cameron was not at home, his wife provided a critical piece of information. Several months earlier, a man named Johnny Leon had approached Cameron to commit a murder for hire, which he had declined. With Cameron ruled out as a suspect, attention shifted to Johnny Leon, who was brought in for questioning. Johnny admitted that Nicholas had offered him $100,000 to participate in the murder, an offer he claimed to have refused. He confessed to scouting the Shaughnessy home with Nicholas, but insisted he had backed out after their initial visit. Despite his assertions of non-involvement beyond that point, Johnny's phone records placed him in Austin on the morning of the murder, contradicting his statement. He refused to identify the second shooter, but provided a cell phone number linked to a man named Arian Smith. Smith asserted that he was with his girlfriend at the time of the crime, who he claimed could vouch for his alibi. This twist added another layer to the tangled web of connections and alibis that the police had to untangle in their quest to solve Ted Shaughnessy's murder. Arian Smith's girlfriend provided crucial testimony to the police, stating that on the morning of the crime, Arian had left her in a motel room using her car and was unreachable despite multiple attempts to contact him. She also disclosed that Arian had been in possession of a .40 caliber handgun in the days following the crime. The handgun was later recovered from a member of Smith's family, leading to his arrest. Further investigations revealed a history of criminal activities involving both Arian Smith and Johnny Leon, including a prior arrest for dealing in illegal substances together. This history painted a clearer picture of their involvement in criminal activities. As the case against them solidified, Nick Shaughnessy and the 2 alleged killers were charged with capital murder. However, with the change in administration to a new district attorney, Jose Garza, in 2021, a plea bargain was offered to the accused. They were given the option to plead guilty to a reduced charge of murder and receive a sentence of 35 years with the possibility of parole, potentially avoiding the death penalty. Both Leon and Smith accepted the deal. Corey, deeply affected by the events, wrote to Nicholas urging him to accept the plea bargain. In April 2021, Nicholas agreed to the terms and was sentenced to 35 years in prison, becoming eligible for parole after serving 20 years. Similarly, Arian Smith and Johnny Leon were sentenced under the same conditions. Arian Smith later revealed to the police the chilling details of the crime night. After they had shot Ted Shaughnessy, he heard gunshots from the bedroom and Corey's cries. Smith claimed he convinced Leon to leave without harming Corey, driven by a desire to avoid further violence. From prison, Nicholas maintained correspondence with his mother, Corey. After 2 years, she was finally able to visit him. Despite knowing much about the case and the involvement of Nicholas and Jackie, Corey remained in the dark about who specifically had used Ted's .40 caliber gun. It was during a private conversation that Nicholas disclosed he had given his father's gun to Arian Smith, adding another layer of betrayal to the already complex family tragedy. With the revelation that Nicholas had indeed facilitated the crime by providing the murder weapon, Corey was finally forced to confront the harsh reality of her son's deep involvement in the plot against her and her husband. She expressed profound disbelief, as neither she, her husband, their family, nor their friends had ever suspected that Nicholas and his wife, Jackie, could harbor such malevolent intentions. Jackie attempted to minimize her role in the scheme, initially claiming ignorance of the plot. However, police were not convinced due to evidence from deleted text messages, which clearly indicated her knowledge. She admitted to accompanying Nicholas to Austin multiple times, but claimed she never took his discussions about killing his parents seriously. During Nicholas's incarceration, Jackie filed for divorce. In March 2022, Jackie's charges were revised to conspiracy to commit a felony. By June 2023, she pleaded guilty to attempted conspiracy to commit a felony and received a suspended sentence, which allowed her to be on probation after serving 120 days in jail. As part of her sentence, she is required to spend 2 days in jail every year on the anniversary of Ted Shaughnessy's murder for 10 years. From prison, Nicholas shared his misguided motive behind the crime, stating he wanted to impress Jackie. Ted Shaughnessy, a well-respected jeweler, and his wife Corey, a certified gemologist appraiser, had built a successful life, which Nicholas tragically sought to disrupt for financial gain. The family's potential for a prosperous future was irreparably shattered by Nicholas's actions. Nicholas is currently serving his sentence at the Clemens Unit in Brazoria, Texas. Arian Smith is incarcerated at the LeBlanc Unit in Beaumont, Texas, and Johnny Leon is at the Barry B. Telford Unit in New Boston, Texas. This tragic case serves as a somber reminder of how misguided intentions can transform someone known and trusted into an orchestrator of violence, underscoring the painful truth that sometimes kindness can lead to devastating consequences. In a bitter twist of fate, the Shaughnessy's, filled with love and hope, ventured across the world only to bring back a child who would later orchestrate a heinous crime. Their tragic story underscores the painful lesson that while money can always be replenished, lost time and betrayed trust can never be recovered. From his prison cell, Nicholas offered a heartfelt apology to his mother during an interview, posing a profound moral question: can one truly accept an apology for an act that should never have occurred? Throughout the tumultuous years of investigation and trials, Corey Shaughnessy has navigated an unimaginable emotional odyssey. She grapples with the horrific reality that her own son conspired to end her and her husband's lives over financial greed. Despite the unfathomable betrayal, Corey's maternal love endures, haunted by memories of the innocent child who once embraced her with love and shared joyful moments racing cars with his father. That innocent boy, the image of whom is preserved in family photographs, has irreversibly changed, as has the life Corey and Ted envisioned. In an attempt to escape the shadow of her past and protect her privacy, Corey now resides in another state under a new identity, striving each day to restore her faith in humanity. This chilling narrative serves as a stark reminder of the dual nature of human relationships. where those closest to us can sometimes harbor the darkest intentions. As we reflect on this story, it compels us to consider the true nature of those we share our homes with. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more shocking tales.